Hi everyone, it's Lauren. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to Jean from Bookish Thoughts.
Hello.
Who's joining me here today, and we're here to do our very long-awaited book discussion video for Brick Lane by Monica Ali, which was our pick for the Feminist Orchestra book club back in, I want to say like May?
Actually,
I think it...
Yeah, May, June.
May, June.
Yes,
May, June, because now we're in July, August.
Yes.
So we apologise, we're a little bit late with this. We've had quite a lot of stuff going on, but we're doing
busy,
it now.
busy women.
That was just so busy and important.
We also just don't live in the same flat.
We don't live in the same flat, and also often not in the same country. That's the other thing. So we will bear with us. We'll get through it. We're also filming a discussion video for Oranges Are Not the Only Fruit, which was our pick for July and August, and that will be on Jean's channel very shortly after this. So first up, I think we should be honest about how much of this book we read, Jean. Shouldn't we?
I feel like I'm being picked on. My initial feedback to this book, which is going to probably give you a bit of an impression of how I found reading it, was that I only got to about 60% of the book. Yeah. I listened to an audiobook and I kept persevering with it, and I was determined to at least read half of it so I could get like a good, solid opinion of it. But there's just so many other wonderful books that I wanted to read that I know I'm going to click with. I just decided to put it down.
But I think that's important we admit this.
Okay,
Like
yeah.
I was saying earlier, I think a lot of other people struggled with this book and other people didn't finish it. So it would be dishonest for us to say that we both finished it. I mean, I did finish it, I'm just going to say that. But I found it really difficult. I honestly did. And I found it a drag, and it's a very long book. It is nearly 500 pages.
Small print.
A very small print. So well done if you completed it.
Yeah.
Because not 100% completion rate at this end.
All of our thoughts aren't negative, are they?
No, not at all.
Like, I had some positive experiences with the book and thought some positive thoughts. Just as an overall reading experience, it did not work for me as a piece of literature. Yeah,
and I think this book is quite famous, maybe because of the time that it was written in, which is 1992, I want to say, or 1993.
Most of the 90s.
It might have been a bit later.
Oh, I think maybe it's like 2001.
Literally complete lies, 2003. But, you know, that's fine, just off by about a decade.
So it's 15 years old.
15 years old, and I think the plot points and what she's talking about in this book are very interesting. And she highlights a lot of things that maybe hadn't been in literature before. Perhaps this is just an assumption because I wasn't really reading literature before that age, so I don't know, but...
It does seem to have taken the world by storm a bit, and it won awards, and like the topics are important. It's just whether you get into it as a book or not.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah. This is difficult when it comes to literature, especially literature on important topics. It's sort of like what makes something good? Is it sort of what it tackles? Is it issues inside it? Or is it just the style and how interested you are as a reader?
Yeah, and how much does enjoyability come into that as well?
Yeah.
With it being an important piece of literature.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy the experience? So as a reminder of the plot, for those of you who would have read it a long while ago, this is about a young woman called Nazanin who is married off basically from her village in Bangladesh to a Bangladeshi man living in London.
So it's about her adjusting to her new life in England. She initially can't speak English either, so she lives in like quite a small insular world of her and her husband because he's the only person that can communicate with her. And then some of the other people that live in like her building, although she does like sort of gradually get to grips with the English language as like the sort of the book progresses, because it takes place over quite a few years.
Yeah, quite a long period of time actually, and it's about her kind of getting to grips with being a wife and what that means, and kind of, I guess it's being a woman within the culture and society that she's used to, and then kind of gelling with this new Western society which is very different.
And how it treats her and sees her.
But as a juxtaposition to this, we also get letters from Nazanin's sister Hasina, who has stayed in Bangladesh, and how life and society there is treating her. Did you get to that point when you were reading?
Oh no, yes, so that's happening right from the beginning, basically, the letters communication. Because at first her sister is married and she's like gone off and got married to somebody their families don't approve of.
Yes, that's
so her
right.
family kind of disowned her, and then it's kind of the shape her life takes, having taken obviously a very different route. She didn't go down the arranged marriage. and things aren't all nice for her either, and it's just sort of like there are two very different lives, but you're hearing one from this letter perspective.
Yeah, but there's a section in the middle somewhere where it's just her singer's letters for a really long period of time, and I don't know if you got to that bit.
I definitely got past the big chunk of letters.
Okay,
yeah.
good. Because I found that really difficult to read.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but we can talk about that in a bit, I
I've
suppose.
weirdly found sometimes her story a little bit more, like, I don't want to say compelling, but just maybe the way it was narrated felt a bit more emotional and vulnerable than the main narration of the story, because I felt quite often at quite a distance from the narrator. Like, I just felt like we weren't being let in fully. Somebody pointed out in the Goodreads discussion about how they thought that was a stylistic decision. That distance between the sort of the reader and the narrator's relationship kind of mimicked how the narrator felt in England in her new life, which makes sense, but wasn't always that enjoyable or compelling to read.
I don't know if I could read this thinking that was a choice, stylistically, but I completely understand that.
Yeah, the logic,
Yeah, I just feel like when I read it, I just felt like you need to connect with your narrator.
Yeah,
especially it's not really a narrator, but it's kind of all in Nazanin's head, isn't it? And I didn't feel any kind of emotional attachment to her, especially because she was in such a horrible surroundings.
Yeah.
And her husband is the kind of man who has been beaten down and is struggling a lot with an inferiority complex, but also is making out like he's a big man and everything's going to be sorted and you should trust him, and he's got all these crazy harebrained schemes and a very, very difficult man to live with, I imagine. And even though I felt sorry for her being in that situation, I kind of didn't care. It was like, I kind of thought, oh, I wouldn't want to live like that.
Yeah,
also I don't really care about you. So.
Yeah, it was all like a little bit objective, like factually, I don't like the situation and everything you're going through, and like I feel bad for the negative aspects of your life, but I'm not really connecting with any of it. Like, I'm not really able to connect with any of it.
Yeah.
But it's not just us. Like, whereas this book also seems to be loved by people, and again, it won awards, I have talked to so many people that felt similarly.
Yeah. I think a lot of people in the Goodreads group said quite similar things to how we were feeling when we were reading it, actually. That, there's so much in here which is very good and very interesting, but it's just grappling with
the way it's written, I guess. And it's not even to say, it's not poorly written, it's not like the actual writing is bad, but there's some disconnect between the style and the reader. And like, from my perspective, it's just boring. Yeah. I just found it boring, basically. Yeah. I mean, you can go into kind of stylistically why that is. Yeah. By the end of the day. Care. Yeah. And it's interesting that you say that you connected more with Hasina's story, which I think was a lot more dramatic. I think that's maybe it. Going on. Yeah. Because do you remember the way that was written? Because it was in sort of pidgin English. Oh, see, I was listening to an audiobook, so it was very different, wasn't it? And I didn't look at the physical copy of this book once during the experience. So how was that listening to it then? Because I found that very weird, because she's presumably writing to Nazim in Bengali. And yet it was like she was trying to write in a second language. It was like, I do this. Blah. It was like really weird. And I didn't understand. So like, is that how, if you were to transcribe Bengali into English, is that what it would look like? Is it like a sort of... Is that a kind of colloquial way of speaking? I don't know. It just seemed like she was writing in very stilted English, and she wasn't a stupid or uneducated or unintelligent person, so I didn't understand why she couldn't write in full sentences. Yeah. So I found it really difficult to read from her perspective. So I think it was really different when you listen to it, because now you say that, I do remember it being different, but it never felt that disjointed, so I don't know if it's just read aloud, it works better maybe? Yeah, perhaps. Which is odd, because obviously you would expect a book to work on the page. But I didn't ever really feel that when I was listening to the letters, like never reading them, So what were the things that you liked in this, that you're going to take away from it? That's a beautiful little image there. I feel like I've said everything I liked of it. Oh no. My takeaway from it, and this probably isn't like the best thing to hear if you were the author of this book, but it's that I want to read another book about this topic. But it's because like the content was really interesting and the style didn't work for me. But I came away thinking, I want to read a different book, but on this same topic. Yeah. I want to read another book about like an immigrant woman's experience, perhaps moving to the UK, or like about Bangladeshi culture or something like that. Like those things were interesting to me, but I just never wanted to pick up the audiobook. Like I would stop listening and never feel compelled again to go back and listen in between. But it did have me curious about like just the themes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, because I was interested in like, I agree.
Yeah.
Well, if you do want to read something which is a bit more about the immigrant experience, I don't have anything that I've read which is similar to this, but I would recommend The Thing Around Your Neck by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, which you have because I bought for you for Christmas a few years ago, which is short stories, and that's very much about Nigerian immigrants in America and about that specific culture clash.
Yeah.
So it's perhaps not the same.
No.
But it's still about that kind of thinking you understand something and thinking you know what's right and what's expected of you, and then being in a completely different environment and just things that are normal to other people just being very strange to you and stuff like that.
There's always as well Nikesh Shukla's edited volume, The Good Immigrant, which are actual non-fiction essays by different people who have immigrated to the UK.
Yeah.
So like that's a pretty good book on that topic if you're interested. But I would definitely love some more recommendations. If people leave comments, like please.
Yeah, definitely. So something like this, but not like this, is basically what we want. So I think we've kind of said all we have to say on this, unfortunately.
That's the thing though, when we're picking the books for the book club, most of the time we haven't read them either, so we can't promise that we're going to love them.
And I think sometimes it's good, especially with a book like this, which is quite famous and has won awards. We've all had a go at it now.
Yeah.
And we've tried it, and I know that some people did really like this book. I don't want to put like a downer on it, like it's rubbish. It wasn't for us.
I'm glad I finally did get around to it, because it had been on my list for a really long time.
Yeah,
so
exactly. So I would love to hear, we would love to hear in the comments, what you thought about this book if you read it, and whether you kind of agreed with us, whether you had a different opinion. I'd like to hear from someone who really enjoyed it.
Yes.
And also, as we've said, any other recommendations for books of this kind of nature would be fantastic. Maybe they'll make an appearance in the Feminist Orchestra Book Club list next year.
2019. Stay tuned.
So as I said, the next video you'll see on these topics will be on Jean's channel, which will be our Oranges Are Not the Only Fruit discussion. And now in September to October, that's what the months are, our next read is going to be Trainwreck, which is a non-fiction book, which we're both really excited to read.
By Sadie Doyle.
And it's all about the obsession that we have as a society of women just going absolutely
off the rails.
Off the rails, exactly. Like think Amy Winehouse, like Britney Spears, kind of, we love it when a perfect woman kind of destroys herself. And our fascination with that.
Yeah, and I've not read a book anything quite like that, really.
No.
And then we're reading Kindred by Octavia E. Butler.
Yeah, that's our Christmas read. So that's very exciting as well.
Yeah.
So I'll see you in my next video and or over at Jean's channel, which will be linked in the description box below. If you're not part of the Feminist Orchestra and you would like to join us, you can join the Goodreads group, which will also be linked below, or just follow along with these videos if you like. And we'll see you next time. Bye!
Bye!